How would you react to a stranger making an insensitive joke nearby to you? Would you step in and tell them that it's not okay? That what they're joking about can be hurtful to others, potentially including yourself in that? Or would you stand back and think to yourself that it's none of your business and that you should stay out of it? No matter what decision you make, it says something about who you are and what you value. Personally, I would take the latter option. I am not an outgoing or confrontational person, so I would avoid potential conflict and let whatever plays out, play out. Many others, however, might choose to address the person who made an offensive remark in hopes of changing their behavior and decreasing the likelihood that those jokes will be repeated in the future. Those who would intervene in this situation are entering the conversation through action and create a way to discuss a difficult topic. This action is one means of entrance into intercultural praxis. Intercultural praxis is the analysis and deep thought of how different cultures interact, and allows us to create a platform on which to navigate social differences and conflicts. Intercultural praxis can be used to make changes in the way societies interact with one another, while at the same time raising awareness for differences among these societies. I have had many experiences in which I have felt uncomfortable interacting with someone based on preconceived notions that either I had of them or they had of me. I feel as though if I had been more educated about these different cultures, that I would have been able to engage in casual conversation with a lot more people in the past. Two examples of this are conversing with someone who might be mentally challenged, as well as traveling to Germany for the 500th anniversary of the Reformation. Intercultural praxis is beneficial because it makes intercultural relations easier, in that people approach the difficult interaction in an educated, unbiased, and open-minded position. The first situation that I'm going to apply intercultural praxis to is interacting with someone who has special needs. While in my mind, I know that those with mental handicaps are in reality no different from myself, I tend to avoid interactions with the disabled as much as possible to avoid uncomfortable conversations. I recently attended a church worship service that is meant for the mentally challenged. I attended this service in support of my fiancé, who was leading the praise band that evening. I was nervous to attend this service because of my lack of understanding of how to converse to those with special needs. I made sure to sit in the front row, on the end furthest from the middle, with my fiancé's guitar case as a blockade to prevent anyone from sitting next to me and trying to strike up a conversation. In hindsight, this was completely unnecessary and insensitive on my part. I would have been able to talk to any one of the people in attendance that night, but I was too nervous to take the chance in fear of offending someone. Typically, those with a mental disability are seen as incompetent, incapable, or subordinate. This is not true, but I lacked any sort of historical knowledge to know that ahead of time. Growing up, I never had any interactions with those that are mentally challenged. I never had a classmate or camp friend that had special needs, nor was there anyone in my family who I would have encountered on a regular basis. My experience of people with special needs has only ever been in passing in public spaces, and has never been more than a kind smile with a wave. While people with special needs are becoming more prominent in popular culture, there is still a large stigma surrounding their capabilities and overall goals. There was no precedent for me in how I acted in this situation. Isolating myself was just my first instinct, and it is how I chose to approach my discomfort. At the service, I was maybe one of 5 people who attended who did not have a form of mental disability. I had never been in the minority in such a way before, and it was a really humbling experience. All of the members in attendance were there to worship God through song, and to have fun with people similar to themselves with no fear of judgment. They were able to sing as loud as they wanted, without fear of being stared at or ridiculed for being unapologetically themselves. In the end, I thoroughly enjoyed getting to experience such a unique type of worship service, and I was happy I went. In the future, if I plan to attend a service similar to this one, I will be sure to educate myself on what makes people with special needs so special, so that I can interact with them better and completely immerse myself into the experience. The second experience I have with intercultural communication is when I traveled to Germany this past October. I traveled as a member of the VU Chorale and was there to sing in many locations across the country in celebration of the 500th anniversary of the Reformation. This was not my first time abroad, as I had previously traveled to Italy for a similar reason. However, this time I was much older, and I felt like a lot more was expected of me in the way of communicating with the German citizens. I did not know a single word of German besides hello and water, so conversation with others outside of the chorale was quite difficult for me. I had zero competence of German culture, language, and values, which was what made communication so difficult. Luckily, I had a few friends in the chorale who spoke German fluently, or fluently enough for the locals to understand what we were asking. What made the interactions more difficult was that I didn't want to assume that the locals spoke English. I understood that I was a visitor in their country and should act like a humble guest and not an entitled American. I did not want waitstaff, citizens, or anyone else to see me as a dumb, self-righteous American tourist, but rather as an educated and appreciative one. While I was not all too educated on German life and language, I approached each situation to the best of my ability. I tried to speak German as much as I could. I tried to say please and thank you, and I didn't expect things that I didn't ask for. Myself and the chorale were visitors to a gracious nation, and we wanted to represent America, more importantly Valpo, as best as we could. We tried to be quiet in public spaces and to be respectful of national monuments and churches, all while always remaining thankful for the opportunity to be where we were. There were no expectations of us other than to behave, but the values of the chorale are to always put our best foot forward and be professional, and that is what drove our attitudes in Germany. We chose to assimilate ourselves into German culture, even though most of us knew nothing about it other than bratwursts and beer. As this was my first time in Germany, the entire experience was new and difference was all around me. I chose to respond to it, though, by remaining excited about the trip and immersing myself into everything we did, while at the same time trying my best to become one of the locals. If I travel to Germany or any other country I'm unfamiliar with in the future, I will be sure to educate myself on cultural norms and learn some of the language prior to visiting. While I approached intercultural relations in an uneducated and unprepared way, it is important to be prepared in the future. Intercultural praxis creates educated, unbiased, and open-minded interactions between cultures, and allows for more civil relations. Intercultural praxis is crucial to the advancement of our world as one large society, rather than many smaller ones. Entering into these interactions with knowledge of the other's culture allows for more comfort within the interactions. Intercultural praxis is the unknown backbone of civil discussion, and should be used and continue to be used in our daily lives and across the globe. Thank you.